So we are front-end developers who love Next.js. And the reason is quite simple because Next provides you with all that features of like client and server-side rendering, static side generation and all that. But until someone who comes from the marketing team and tells you that they want to change the hero text or maybe something on the side, and you just observe that for every change you have to go and make a redeploy to your Next.js app. So believe me, that is not dynamic content, that is static pain. So you have a problem, I will provide you the solution, but before that, let's roll the intro. Over here, you can see that I'm having a Next.js app because you might be seeing the Next logo in this corner right over here. But in this Next application, nothing is hard-coded. Everything is coming from a backend API. And this content right over here is just the renderer, which is just rendering the content. So you might be wondering that you have to design all those backend APIs to get the content, but believe me, you have a solution for that. And the solution is dotCMS right over here, where you can go and fetch all the content from this dotCMS via APIs and render right over here. But dotCMS is just not an API provider. It also provides you with an UVE, which is a universal visual editor, by which your content authors or your marketing team can go and change the content, which will dynamically be rendered on your front end side without writing a single line of code. So if we just come over here, you can see that right over here in my dotCMS admin panel in UVE, I'm having the same page which is being displayed in my Next.js application. So what we can do is we can just come to our UVE and we can change the content to maybe something like welcome to dot.CMS. And if we just publish this thing, this will go and dynamically will be rendered on your front end Next.js app. And if you come over here and just refresh this thing, you can see that changes are being reflected in real time without redeploying your Next.js app. So for those who want to create such an environment in which you have your next app, which is being rendering the content headlessly via this CMS, you can use the following CLI right over here, which will help you to scaffold your project in a headless mode. So now your question might be that how could we create some custom content and render that on our Next.js application? So believe me, the steps are quite simple. All you have to do is just to go into content model, inside your content types, and over here you can see that there are a lot of content types which are listed over here. And for each content type right over here, we will be having a separate React component inside our Next.js app. So let's go and create a content right over here, and let's call it as maybe a hero card content type. And for this I will be leaving the icon and description as default, and just create this thing. You can see right over here our hero card component has been created. So let's drop some of the fields which we want to keep inside this hero card component. For now I will just keep it as simple as possible. So what I will be doing is I will be just dropping a text area. So let me find this one. So a text which will hold our title, and for this I will make this as required as well, and just save this. This will be our title which is required, and then we will be having a description. So let's drop a text area for that, and this will be our description right over here, and I will also mark this as required. So once you save this thing, your hero card thing is ready, which is your content type. And now what you can do is you can just go and drop this content type on any of the pages, and it will go and headlessly render on your front end side. But there is a surprise. So let's go into our let's say into our pages, and let's click our home page right over here. And what we can do over here is that once let's go, and after this row right over here I will place another row, and in that row we will be placing that content which is our hero card. So let's go to our layout, and over here what we can do is we can add another row. So let's drag and drop a row right over here, and let's make this full width if I can, and let's save this thing, right? So once that is saved, if you go back to the content section over here, you can see that we are having a container which for now is empty, right? So what we can do is if we scroll down, we'll be having our hero card, and if you just drag and drop right over here, that hero card will be displayed, right? But since we don't have any content type, we will be creating the same title and description right over here, right? So what we can do is we can call it maybe like welcome to dotCMS. So it will be welcome to dotCMS, and this is dotCMS under 5 minutes, right? So this is what I've done so far. I provided a title and I have provided a description, and once you publish this thing, this will go and create a content of hero card type, which will be reflected onto your palette right over here. But the problem over here is that you don't have a component for this hero card content type. And the reason is quite simple, because in Next, you have to go and create a component and then render the fields which are coming from your backend according to your own logic, right? So let's jump to the coding section, which is the fun part. Let's get our hand dirty with the code. And over here, you can see that we have opened our Next.js application, which is just a plain Next.js app having all these dependencies, which are, I would say, related to dotCMS. And these dependencies are only responsible for getting the content from dotCMS and render that on your Next.js app. To be very honest, you don't have to know about all these dependencies. All you have to do is to just create a simple component for your hero card content type, and you're good to go. So what you have to do is to just open your file explorer, and inside this, if you come to your source, and inside source you're having a directory of your components, and over here you will be having the directory of content types. And if you just open this is where you will be having all varied components for the content types which are coming from .cms. So you can see the very first is activity.js, and this is responsible for rendering your activity content type which is coming from .cms. And if you go to your Google and if you just go to content types right over here, you can see that inside this content type list you are having this activity content type, and these are the attributes which are coming from the activity content type. And if you go back to your, I would say, activity.js, if I just type activity.js, and over here you can see that you are getting title, description, image, which are the same attributes which are coming from here, right? So in simple words, what you have to do is to just create a custom content type for hero card, which we have recently created, right? So coming back to our file explorer, you can see that I have already created a hero card component right over here. And if you just click enter, right now, it's just a plain simple React component. And for those who know that we have only created two fields over here, which is the title and the description, right? So what we can do is we can come back to Google Chrome, and if you just go to the content tab list and search for hero card, you can see that beside every field right over here, you will be having the variable name, which in our case for title is title and description is description, right? So what we have to do is to just come over here and insert title, and then we have to type description right over here, and then we can use it inside this by using our React syntax. So it will be title, and then it will be our description, right? And once we do that, we have our component which is ready. So let me just save this all. And once you have your component ready, what you can do is you have to register this component inside your, I would say, index.js in the same directory, which is our content type. So if you come to this content type section, you can see that we are having this index.js right over here. And if you just click on enter at this, you can see that this is the point where we are registering all the content types with their React components, right? So what we have to do is to just duplicate this thing right over here. And what we can do is that we can say that this is our hero card. So let me type that down, which will be, I would say, aligned with our hero card, which will be coming from the same directory, right? So let me just delete this and delete this, and you can see that this has automatically imported our hero card component from the same directory right over here. And for those who are confused with this hero card name, all you have to do is to just come back to a .cms environment, and over here you can see that beside this hero card title, you are having this variable name, which is hero card. So you have to use the same variable name while registering your component, right? Now, if you come back and if you just save all, so let me type W all to save all. And once you save all the things, and you should now come back to your next application right over here. And if you just refresh this thing, now you can see that we are having our title and the description being rendered right over here. And if you just go back to your site, and inside site, if you go back to your home page, you will see the same thing being reflected right over here. So that's how you can use, I would say, dotCMS for not just getting the data into APIs and rendering them on Next.js, but in real time, you can change the content itself, right? So if I want to, let's say, drop this title and description somewhere else, I can do that, right? And apart from that, it's not just about the content. If you just go back to your, I would say, Next.js editor, and right over here, if you just go back to hero card component right over here, you can see that I can style this according to my own logic. I can use tailwind, I can use custom styling, and I can style this according to my own needs. So that's how dynamic content rendering works in Next.js in real time with the help of dotCMS APIs, right? And it's not just enough if you go back to your, I would say, content section, and let's say not the content, but the content model. And over here, if you just click onto new content type, and I can name it maybe like a test content. If you just create this, you can see that you have a lot more to play with. You can use, I would say, your blog editor. You can have your checkbox fields. You can have date and time. You can have images if you want. You can have JSON fields. So there is a lot of fields which are available in dotCMS by which you can play with them and render them headlessly by using your front-end framework, which in our case is Next.js. So that's all from this video. If you really want to learn more about dotCMS, so join our community, which is our community.cms.com. So see you on the other side.